Hi everyone, it's Julie from eatlifebalance.com, and today I'm so excited to chat with you today about skincare. I'm sure you can tell from my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube pages that I'm really passionate about using non-toxic skincare products. Years ago, when I suffered from extreme anxiety, I took control of my health by making changes to my lifestyle and diet. I then learned about the impact that chemicals found in traditional store-bought skincare could have on my health. It was a shocking revelation that soon turned into a passionate mission. Today, I really want to talk to you about the organic Ayurvedic skincare line from Lisa Mattan called Sahajan. Now, Lisa is a former pharmaceutical exec, mother of two, and like many of us, on a journey to wellness herself. Her reality is that she loves beet smoothies, me too, and will confess that she enjoys pizza with her family regularly, me too. It's all in moderation, right? In this interview, Lisa and I discuss her product line, the importance of non-toxic skincare to our health, the ingredients to avoid, foods that improve skin health, and how this corporate executive turned entrepreneur made it her passion to create affordable skincare for women and men. So listen, I've told you I'm super passionate about skincare,
Hmm.
and really I think how it impacts our health in general, and I really sort of am passionate about educating others on the importance of good skincare, right?
Hmm.
So like I said to you earlier, one of the things that I've just been sort of connected to your skincare line. As I said, it's a Canadian product. I love the Ayurvedic principles around it, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And of course, I'm always sort of a guru for organic products too as well. But maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about your product line and how that came about for you too as well, and why you started that business in the first place.
Sure. It's funny, the inception of the line, like I hadn't gone into this saying, oh, I really want to have a skincare line. And in some ways different from you, I think it's taken me a bit longer on the journey to sort of wellness. But for me, what it was is as I mentioned, I have young children. And at the time, so this was almost 3 years ago to the day, because it was 3 years ago, December. I came home. I was pregnant with my second child, and my daughter, who she's very much like me, and kids love to imitate their parents. And so I came home, and she was covered in my face cream and super thick, like not the way that we would wear cream, like really, really thick. And even though I remember thinking it was so cute, and then I immediately said, take that off your face. And I wiped her face, and I actually wiped it off, and I said, oh, you can't put these things on your face. They're not good for you. Those are the things that mommy uses. And then I sort of directed her to the things that I use on her skin. And I said, these are the things that are for you that, mommy uses for you. And if you ever want to play, those are the things that I want you to use on your skin. And it was sort of kind of an enlightening moment, because there were two things that I really took away from that. Isn't it kind of funny that I have such strong standards for her, but I don't have them in the same way for myself? And I find that move into motherhood, it's not the only one, but is often one that causes people to say, hey, I'm so stringent on what I do for my children, but not necessarily what I do for myself. And I think the deeper question that really followed from that was, when I looked at what I was saying to her to use on her skin, it was all things that I had grown up on, that my parents used on me, that were really sort of part of our family tradition and then been passed down. And I kind of thought, why had I walked away from some of those things that I trusted, and these sort of natural plant-based ingredients that I grew up with? And so it really led me down a path where, one, I started to say, okay, I want to change some of the standards that I have for myself. And when I started to look, for a line that used ingredients like coconut oil as an example, but used sort of these Ayurvedic based ingredients, I couldn't find one. And really, I wasn't going in it in a way saying Ayurveda. I sort of had ingredients in my mind. And then when I was talking to my parents and I was doing a lot more digging, what I sort of perceived to be family tradition was really steeped in Ayurveda. My parents are from Kerala, in India, which is really the epicenter of Ayurvedic study and practice. And if you ever wanted to go on an Ayurvedic retreat, that would normally be the place you would go. And so what's sort of typical for them is really, based on a system of Ayurveda. And so that's what took me down this path and this exploration.
So, Sahajan is the name of your
Hmm.
product line. Am I
Yes.
pronouncing that right? Yes.
I say Sahajan, but
It's
hmm,
however you want to say it, right? But what does
yeah.
Sahajan mean? And Yeah, and when did you start the product line?
So that was almost 3 years ago, and it was shortly after that that I said I really want to create this line, and I want to create it for women and men, but who are like me, who want to take advantage of beautiful plant-based ingredients. And so I started that 3 years ago. And so it was really, it's amazing that it took this long because it was about, finding chemists who could formulate. We worked with Ayurvedic doctors in India on the formulation and then really taking it to the place that it is now. And one of those things is naming it. And so it was a really neat process. But the reason that we went with Sahajan is Sahajan comes from the word Sahaja, which in Hindi or in Sanskrit means intuitive. And it was really about what was intuitive for me.
Yeah.
And taking that sort of what just feels right and expressing it.
Yeah, and I think I love that intuitive part of it, because even when you're talking about that interaction with your daughter and her using the products on your face, it was just sort of that intuitive connection that obviously what she was putting on probably wasn't the best.
Yes, yeah.
It brought you back to home, which I love about that story. So, I sort of practice Ayurvedic principles in my own life. It's something that I'm exploring myself. But for all of those people out there that don't know what Ayurveda is, about that, and why is it making sort of a re-entry or an entry, I guess, into the Western world?
Yes, absolutely. So Ayurveda, translated from Sanskrit, means the science of life, quite literally. And it's a 5,000-year-old science that comes from India. And it's really, really the premise behind it is that your body needs to be in balance. And when it's not in balance, you get sick. And so you would work with an Ayurvedic doctor proactively to manage your health, or you would work retroactively to get yourself back into wellness. And what I think is really neat about Ayurveda is, to date in India, it's still practiced by 80% of the population, but it's done in concert with sort of what we would, what I would call like, Western medicine, or typically where we would see sort of our general medical doctors. And so the two aren't necessarily in opposition, but in India they go hand in hand because each has a role to play. And I think the reason that we're seeing a resurgence is a few things. I think one, as you and I were chatting before this started, there's a growing body of individuals and research that says we can proactively, from a mind-body science way, from what we put into our systems and how we manage our health and our stress and our sleep and our intake, manage our health. And I think people are starting to really understand that. And so Ayurveda, having been practiced over 5,000 years, has the practice and the science and almost the numbers behind it to say, here's the science that can actually help you achieve that. I think the other reason more practically that people are actually looking to Ayurveda is that it is a sister practice to yoga. And so people who have really been inspired by and have found a lot of, whether it's emotional or physical strength from yoga, can sort of see it as, okay, if these two are sister practices, this is something that I wanted to learn more about.
And I love the fact that at some point we sort of want to get back to nature, right?
Yes.
Such a healer. So is yoga. I've been practicing yoga. I'm sure you have too for so many years. I feel when you have that practice, or when you're connected to nature, you often want to use the tools of nature really to I guess become part of your medicine cabinet, right?
Yes.
Or what's sort of that one product or ingredient that if somebody's walking through their drugstore, what they should be sort of staying away from? What do you think that one would be? Because there's a lot of them, but what's the number?
Yeah, there's a lot of it's. I struggle a little bit, but what I would say instead is I think people need to understand how to read labels.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why this is in my head is because I got as a gift. So it's the holiday season. I got as a gift from a girlfriend a body lotion. Really beautiful body lotion, and on the front it said free of parabens, sulfates, mineral oil, triclosan, and which that sort of tipped me off because that last ingredient, triclosan, if I'm saying it right, even that's how I say it, is often used in antibacterial hand gels and stuff. And so I thought, well, would that have been in a body cream anyway?
Mm-hmm.
So it had this all free of, and then I flipped it to the back and I looked at the ingredients, and it had propylene glycol,
Mm-hmm.
and it even had like coloring. So it was colored because of the smell. Like if it's, a lemon cream, it was colored yellow. And so what my big takeaway from that is that it is becoming very popular to create sort of clean products, but it's very hard to differentiate what a clean product look like, what a clean product actually looks like. And marketers are very smart, right? So they know that if you're looking quickly at a product and you see, oh, it's free from this and it's free from that and it's free from that, okay, I'm going to throw it into my bag. So I think what I would say to people is, here's one ingredient that you should stay away from is, I grew up on believing everything David Suzuki had to say. And so he has his like 12 dirty dozen list of ingredients you should avoid, is like learn those 12 names and look for them.
That's right.
And I think, there's still debates on a number of other ingredients, and I think the debate is still open. And when we formulated the line, there were a few things that I actually went to both our chemist and a regulatory body and said, can you do a little bit of research? I just want to make sure we're comfortable putting this in. And so we could do that. And I think we're going to continue over time to hear and learn about new things. But I think, if you can stick it to those 12, and I think if you can learn how to read a label, that becomes really important, because you can get away with a lot, and that was a big, big learning to me in this process, that just because a product has the word oil as the product name, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an oil. And so, there's a lot to be learned if you can read the back of a bottle.
So what do you, on the topic of nutrition, what do you think about the connection between nutrition and skincare? Especially with you and your Ayurvedic background, you feel that there's a connection between nutrition and the health of our skin?
Absolutely. It's very, and I think that's the one thing, and I remember sitting around a table when I first had the idea of Sahajan, and I remember saying to the folks who were helping me, saying, I don't expect that anything I sell is a miracle in a bottle, because it's a combination of everything we do. It's, like I've been working a lot and I haven't been sleeping enough, and that has a detrimental effect on my skin, right? If you don't drink enough water, it's an easy thing that we can do to help our skin, and what we eat. Like if we're eating foods that are rich in antioxidants, as an example, so berries, colorful foods, all of those things, they have such a powerful impact on the skin. I saw something on my Facebook feed the other day, which was like, here are the 10 types of medicines or something that you wanted, and it was things like fresh air, good food, exercise, sleep. And it was just like, we neglect what we put into our body and what we surround ourselves with as such a strong indicator of the health of our skin and just our general well-being.
No, that's awesome, and I think a good positive attitude has a lot to do with it too, as well. So I have a lot of favorites, and I'm sure we'll talk about your favorites, my favorites on your. Love them all, but what are some of, because we've talked about sort of the bad ingredients we want to look for, but what are some of the key? You don't have to tell us all of them, but what are some of the key ingredients that are skincare line that sort of make it quite unique?
Yes, absolutely. So the whole line, so whether or not you're buying any of the face products or the body oil or the hair oil, all have coconut oil in them. And I'm a big fan of coconut oil. I grew up on like coconut oil in every form. Yep. My parents actually each grew up on, like, their families have coconut plantations. That's how, like, they traditionally, so that's how, so it's coconut's very sort of steeped in my parents' world, or sort of my tradition and my heritage. But coconut oil's in everything. What's amazing about coconut oil is that, it's considered one of the healthiest oils on earth right now. But for the skin and the hair, what's amazing, it's a very powerful moisturizer. But what's neat about it is it has an amazing ability to penetrate the skin as well. So you're not going to get like a greasy feeling on your hands or on your face. And so it's a very powerful moisturizer. I noticed you were holding the face cream. So some of the other things that are in there. So the face cream, as an example, has something that's called triphala. And triphala translated means three berries. And you might know from your nutritionist background that you can actually ingest triphala for digestion. And, triphala has three berries, and one of them is a berry called amla. Amla is a small green berry, and you can sometimes buy it at an Indian grocery store. And amla has 20 times the amount of vitamin C as an orange. So very powerful antioxidant and what that does for the skin is when you've got an antioxidant, it's powerful, so it protects against free radicals, and it really brightens the skin. And so that's in the face cream. The other neat neat ingredient that's in the face cream is something that's called Gotu Kola, which is the Indian parsley. And so it's a green leaf, if you can imagine, sort of like parsley would be. And what Gotu Kola does is it really it firms the skin. It minimizes the appearance of fine lines.
So what are some of, I don't want to say your favorites because I'm sure you love them all, but what's sort of the daily essential that you have to, that is consistently on your skin, or sort of like the thing that you think is the most, I guess, coveted out of the 5 pieces?
Yeah. So I'm going to say, that's a hard one, but I'm going to say the serum. And so the serum, I'll tell you why. So the serum has coconut oil, it has triphala, it has Gotu Kola, it has sandalwood oil in it. It has hyaluronic acid, which is a natural ingredient as well. And to me, what's beautiful about the serum is we wanted to sort of leverage the tradition of Ayurveda, but also take advantage of other natural ingredients that we know exist. And so we put hyaluronic acid in it, which is sort of like nature's moisture magnet. It really pumps the skin. Or that isn't actually the right word that I would use to describe it, but it adds moisture back into the skin. Is a great way to describe what hyaluronic acid does. But the reason why I would pick the serum is it's a great protector for the skin. So even if you have a face cream that you're using, or you want to finish, and somebody were to say to me, what's a great place for me to start, I would say the serum, because I love it. Like, I could just pour it on my face all day, because it just I think it's so powerful. And so and it's also to me, I noticed you were smelling it. It just, to me, just exemplifies the moment of a sort of wellness and ritual that I wanted people to have. So I think I'd say the serum.
What I love about this product, or all of them really, is how easily absorbable they are, because you already mentioned that coconut oil. I think every coconut oil is different because they find some of them aren't absorbable, but yours definitely is. So I will say, I don't know, I'm torn between like the favorites, but I love your ritual oil, body oil.
That was the one I was debating.
I love this. Like, it smells like dessert for one. And I don't know. I just love the practice of it. I love the sweet of it. It's the one thing that I'm just like savoring because I don't want to.
I know.
But I would say that's the one that I love because it's just luxurious. And I, on my Instagram the other day, a few weeks ago, I had posted, because every woman wants the dewy skin look, right? Yes. And I posted with the hair serum, just adding a drop of the hair serum to your foundation. Really added a glow and sort of that dewy look that I think a lot of women are looking for. And I love the hair oil too as well. I put it on the ends of the skin and then even a little bit on the chest when I'm done. But I add a little bit into my foundation, and it just adds adds more moisture because I got that aging skin. So
and that's you know what, and it's a pure oil, right? So you're dealing, that's why you could take the body oil and put on your hair, or the hair oil, they were chosen because they have some different ingredients in them, but they're all pure oils, so you can use them in any way that you want. So that's really neat, actually.
That's right. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about food, because that's super one of my top topics. But what are sort of, go through your kitchen and your fridge, what would be sort of those top 3 to 5 things that you would have? It's like a must have in my fridge or in my grocery bag when I'm shopping. What would that be?
So it's funny because I just did groceries yesterday, and so my grocery bags, they're always full of fruits and vegetables, because it's and I would say particularly like berries are huge, even sometimes even frozen berries, because one of the things I try to do, and it's funny, because balance is something that I struggle with sometimes, because if you don't prepare, it's hard to make great choices every day, right? So because it's not, but if you can make all those things available in your fridge, then you can easily just pick and poke at them. But one of the ways that I've done it is by making smoothies. And so, for example, I have a beet smoothie that I make. So the one, you'll always find beets in my fridge.
Okay.
Because I make this one smoothie that's basically like beets, spinach, an apple, an orange, and a couple of frozen strawberries. And then that's enough that I make it for two, and my husband and I take one each to go. And so what I really enjoy it, but also I went to a naturopath at the beginning of the year. So this was 7 or 8 months before the product launch, but I was sharing with her what I was up to, and she said to me, which I thought was very powerful, she said, you're going to have a lot of stress this year, and you want to make sure that you are eating to manage your stress and that you're eating to manage brain focus. And so she said to me, one of the things that's going to make your brain focus very well is tons and tons of fruits and vegetables, and particularly vegetables. And so she said to me, any opportunity that you have to put vegetables in your body, and when you're making a smoothie, and so I treated myself and I bought a Vitamix, but then you're getting everything in there. It's a great way. So you'll always find beets, you'll always find berries, you'll always find boiled eggs in my fridge, because one of the things I do on Sunday is I boil some eggs so that I add them to salads. I might eat one in the morning for breakfast, and it's an easy snack. It takes and what I didn't even think about until I actually saw it on somebody else's vlog was that a boiled egg can keep up to 5 days, and so you boil a bunch of eggs on Sunday, and then you've got it, and then you're not kind of reaching for other things. And again, it's got good protein and good fat and everything in it. So you'll always find that. And then what's going to sound a bit ridiculous but kind of funny is you will always find chicken curry in my fridge. Not just because my parents are from India. One, because I have a son who's 2 going on 3, and it's his favorite food, and he's a very picky eater. And when he was a baby, I went to the doctor, and I said to the doctor, I'm so worried he's not eating. And the doctor was oh, he'll get there. And then we went out for Indian food, and he was grabbing at everything. And that's when I realized he had an interest in spicy foods. But my other big takeaway on chicken curry was I again saw a naturopath a number of years ago, because I was just trying to figure some digestion things out. I was working a lot. I came from the corporate world as well, and I found that I used to eat out a lot because I used to do a lot of work travel, and it was just messing with my stomach, I think, because I was eating out. And so I had gone to see a naturopath, and he had put me on a bit of a diet, and I remember saying, I don't know how I'm going to live this. And he looked at me and he was like, can I ask you a personal question? I said, yeah. And he goes, are your parents from India? And I said, yeah. And he goes, why don't you just eat the food your parents make?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And so he said to me, just get your mom to make you food, and then you can live this diet. And it was such a weird thing, because again, when you grow up on things, you don't necessarily consider it healthy. You just consider it the food my mom makes. And so, but when you think about, particularly a curry, it's got ginger in it, it's got turmeric in it.
Yeah.
The spices. If you think about Ayurveda as a practice, eating warm foods,
Yeah.
But it's got so much, from a spice perspective that you're adding. It's a beautiful meal. And I'm a big fan of, to be healthy, you don't it's great. If you can access healthier options in terms of whether it's, creating your own little energy bites or energy bars. But if someone says, I don't have time for that, if you're just cooking great food at home, you can still eat healthy.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. It's so funny. You've hit it every little bit on the nail, and it's everything that I promote, which is, of course, fresh greens and vegetables, because they've got life in them, right? So if you're feeding food that's full of life, imagine what's you internally as well as your skin, right? The other thing that I captured from you is that you obviously plan, and boiling, a few hard, eggs isn't going to take you enough time. So really are going to find that balance in life is if you actually plan things, and it could be just a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon, which is, and the third thing, and I love Indian food, and one of my best friends is Indian, and so anytime her place, she just loads me full of food from her. and so I'm been a vegetarian for a number of years. Indian food, like you said, it's got so many spices that are so rich in antioxidants, which you've already mentioned. Adding just spices into your food, like turmeric, which I often do. And you know what? You should try to have a beet berry smoothie that you would love, because you're probably like maybe the only second person that I've met that actually puts beets in their smoothie, and it adds a sweetness to it,
Yeah.
the fiber, you get all those antioxidants. Like beets are like a coveted vegetable for me because they've got so many good things. So for somebody like yourself, it's kind of would you say that's, and I think was one of my questions was, in terms of trying to find balance, you're a mother of two, a wife, an entrepreneur, is planning ahead sort of the way that you manage to get balance in life? I mean, much as you possibly can. I mean, what's sort of that, I guess, measurement of success when it comes to that? Would that be?
I think part of it is prep, and I think another part of it is choosing what's like I must do, and what is okay. I really, sort of like a nice to do, and what's an I must do. So, to me, as you said, like I love practicing yoga. I've struggled in the last few months because both my office and my home are not close to a yoga studio, and there is one not that far from the home, but it's a longer story because it's a hot yoga studio, and I would prefer not to do hot yoga just myself. I'm always hot. So, and so I struggle with that, but then at some point I have to say, okay, you know what? Maybe I won't be by a yoga studio every day, and maybe I just pull it up on my iPad and do it in my basement, and maybe it's not going to be, the same practice I would have if I was attending a class every day, but that's okay. And I think it's discipline. I think it's, for me at least, I realize if I don't actually say this is what I'm going to do and these are what my goals look like, and I'm very specific, I never do it. So if I say, oh, this year I'm going to be healthy, nothing changes. If I say this year I'm going to, do a yoga practice 2 or 3 times a week in my basement, I will do it. Because I actually will say, like, oh, it's only been twice and I said 3. Go downstairs.
Okay. Obviously very goal focused person. And it's right. It's a very much an individual thing. And with me too as well, even though I promote balance in life, I still have a hard time with the balance thing too. And so tell me, we've got lots of, people that are starting businesses, thinking about owning a business. I'm one of those people. What has been the biggest learning lesson starting your own skincare line, your own business in general? What's been the biggest learning lesson and a teachable moment maybe for us?
I think one is often we start businesses that are inspiration. Like Sahajan was an inspiration for me. But I think the tough part is taking that inspiration and actually translating it into a real business because we have these beautiful inspirations, but if we're going to turn them into a business, they have to exist as businesses. And, one of the biggest pieces of learning for me was, things like working on manufacturing and how would that look and what would it be like. And I remember at the beginning thinking, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. But then, the realities of actually running a business come through. So I think the one thing I would say to someone is, it's important to have your inspiration because that's what's going to guide you through, but be very grounded in your business fundamentals because that's ultimately what's going to help you in the long term. And that's something that I keep having to remind myself.
Yeah. And so I'm sure, like every entrepreneur, you have a plan for the future. So with Sahajan, what's sort of next on the horizon? What can we look forward to? Few months, weeks, years? What are you envisioning?
Sure. So, my goal is to, my goal is to have the line grow and expand and have more people to take advantage of it. So sort of when I think of the next year, it's to make sure that people can find the products in ways that are easy for them. So they can obviously find them online on my site. And now we're starting to have, some beautiful stores pick it up. And so my goal is to continue that because, as I mentioned earlier, it becomes easier to make great choices if it's accessible to you. If it's too hard to access, or it's, it's not close by, then you won't be able to make that choice. And so that's sort of my personal business goal. And then I think from a Sahajan perspective, my longer term goal is to create, I've already started thinking about what the next product's going to be in the line, and is to really expand it, because we've gotten such great feedback. And, the feedback on the line has been positive, but people have also been giving us lots of ideas about what we should focus on next, whether it's iterations of current products or it's just new products in general. And so I think there's a robust product pipeline ahead, which is exciting too.
So where can people find you? Where can people find your product, and where can they find you specifically?
Sure. So they can find the products online on our site, www.sahajan.com. But you can also find it on well.ca. And I know that well.ca is a site that it's one of your favorites. I know I saw that well.ca was one of your favorites. And so if you're already looking for great green and natural products, it's an easy add-on into your cart. And well.ca is awesome because, they ship everywhere without, high, you don't have to have high, carts or whatever to be able to get shipping. So well.ca. And then, and I will keep you posted, but right now we're talking to a couple places in Western Canada that might have the products. And right now in Ontario, we've got a few boutique stores. We've got one in Halifax. So the stores are growing, which is great.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. So it sounds like online is the place to be if
Mm-hmm.
in your immediate area.
Thank you.
I really, I know you're super busy, and it is the holiday season after all, but I really appreciate you spending time with me and
My pleasure.
my people, and getting to know your people a little bit more too. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Well.